Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Yesterday I did a video about Neil Gray and his dressing down of the Greens, and indeed Lorna Slater in particular. And towards the end of it I said that there was an unnamed SNP MSP who was also calling for a vote on whether to continue the Butte House Agreement and the arrangement that they have with the Greens in government. Not Fergus Ewing. This was another one that they were describing in the paper as unnamed. But when I sort of suggested, I speculated and said basically we all know it's probably Kate Forbes. Well, lo and behold, such a piece of speculation shall come to pass. For now, Kate Forbes herself has come out and done exactly that. She is calling for a vote. This is her now and Fergus Ewing. So both of them, different wings of the party, different sort of factions, different power bases. And they're both calling for the membership to take another vote on whether to continue the Butte House Agreement, to still have the Greens in any way, form or shape to be part of the government of Scotland. And I think now that you've got these two sort of heavy hitters in the party, each calling for it from a different direction, but each calling for it, I think others will now also call for it. Stephen Flynn has sort of said he doesn't want to see it, but if ever there's a man who's consistently on the wrong side, it's going to be Beryl. But meanwhile, I think a lot of the backbenchers who would have held their own counsel will look at the poll results and say, actually, yes, I think we do need to have a vote. Let's see if we can ditch the Greens, and let's see if we can go around and make ourselves a little bit more popular in time for the next Holyrood elections. Anyway, we'll take a look at this article now, see what's going on. Here goes. So, Kate Forbes wants a vote on Greens' future in government as pressure grows on Humza Yousaf to ditch the Skexit allies. And these calls are coming from different wings of the party, different sides. It's only really the extreme left of the party that wants to keep them. And of course, I mentioned how Stephen Flynn is thinking that perhaps we shouldn't get rid of them just yet. It would look as though we are opportunists. It's the kind of line he's taking. But he's also trying to push for the next leadership competition. He sees himself and is setting himself up as leader of the party. I think he is very much a delusional man if he thinks that he's going to beat Kate Forbes in any show-off after the next leadership election, which I think will be a lot sooner rather than later. I think that Kate Forbes, and I've speculated this before, I think that Kate Forbes is preparing a coup d'etat. I think she's manoeuvring, and I think she's ready to pounce to take the leadership of the party. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, SNP members should be consulted on the substance of the Green Party power sharing agreement, says Kate Forbes. And we've seen this picture before, and it's the Harry Potter Kate Forbes picture. Kate Forbes has backed a consultation with SNP members on the future of the Scottish Green Party in government, stating she is in favour of what she calls checking in. That is to say, to offer the members another vote. Another sort of saying, look, we've done this, we've done a couple of years with it. In her opinion, it's not working out. We want to know what the members think. And if they want to say, no, enough's enough, call it a day, send them packing, then we should. Now, of course, the other thing is that if the SNP decide that they're going to have this vote, that will, of course, let the Greens know that the SNP are not very happy with the Greens in government, and it may, just simply by having the vote, mean the Greens pack up their bags and walk. Maybe. But I suspect that they're too comfortable with their feet under the table where the power is. They won't likely give up the power, or more importantly, the ministerial salary and a subsequent uplift of pension that they're currently getting. And so I think that they will not walk. They will quite happily sit there, even if it's against their principles, and take the money. So it would have to go all the way down to a vote, and then they hopefully would have the humiliation of being thrown out rather than walking out. Anyway, the MSP for Skye, Lochaber and Badenoch says there is a need to find out just how unpopular the power sharing agreement is, following a number of high profile Green-centred scandals, including gender reform and views on trans healthcare and children, the deposit return scheme, marine activity bans, and fears over the party's treatment of businesses. And not least of all, in the northeast particularly, is their views on banning oil. They want to actually end Scotland's oil industry, which is madness. It is sheer lunacy. I think anyone can agree that. Anyway, Miss Forbes, who proved popular with her cautious approach to the Greens alliance during the SNP leadership campaign, said the substance of the Butte House Agreement should be considered, as she downplayed an ideological drive. Her intervention follows Fergus Ewing, who's been less subtle in his opposition to Patrick Harvey and Lorna Slater, the Munchkin and the Giraffe, when he called for a ballot to oust them. Not alone in his concern, Neil Gray, the Economy Minister, and Humza Yousaf Ali reportedly warned Green ministers against attacking businesses, and Stephen Flynn said he was not in tandem with them. And he's not in tandem with them particularly on heat pumps, but he's not in favour of cutting them out of business, cutting them out of government. He says because while they've got them, they are maintaining an absolute majority, and that is needed. I don't think it is, to be honest, but anyway. Miss Forbes has already refused to back the Scottish Greens in government, as she blasted those she thinks are guilty of stupid politicking. However, if we cast our mind back about a month or so, they had the vote of confidence in Lorna Slater, and Kate Forbes voted to remain confident of her. It was only really Fergus Ewing who voted against. And I think that perhaps I think perhaps Kate Forbes may now be regretting that decision and may now wish she had voted against. It probably wouldn't have made a difference to the result, but it would have shown that she is willing to put her money where her mouth is. Now, of course, she's looking a bit hypocritical, calling for the Greens to go, having literally just voted, in a vote of confidence for them. It's a bit odd. Anyway, talking about the stupid politicking, she refused to name who she was referring to, instead just saying everyone would think immediately of examples. So she's saying, oh look, we've got these, there's a couple of people that have come up with really stupid ideas. I'm not saying who they are, I'll leave that up to you, and we all know exactly who it is. Yeah, it's the leprechaun of Leven, and it's Jeffrey. And so these two are not particular. I don't suspect they're on her Christmas card list, put it that way. Speaking on BBC Good Morning Scotland, she said, I'm a Democrat, so I'm always in favour of checking in with the people, checking in with the members. That's the purpose of conference, to ensure they are continuing to support certain policies. Well, they've got the conference season coming up in, October, so 3 months away, two and a bit months away now, actually. So it's a very fine question to ask on the floor of the conference, isn't it? The government has a duty to its party to ensure we're delivering in a way that's consistent with membership's interests. No, the party has a duty to ensure it's delivering in a way that's consistent with membership's interests. The government has a duty to ensure it's delivering in a way that's consistent with the country's interests. There is a difference, Kate. She says, I think what's critical for I think what's critical for me is not just the Butte House Agreement, but the substance of it. It includes a commitment to HPMAs, and we have seen the government shift away from HPMAs. And it includes a commitment to a deposit return scheme, and we've seen a shift away from a deposit return scheme. I think asking ideologically about an agreement is less important than asking what should be in the agreement. And of course, got to say, she's actually right on that one. The former finance secretary, who turned down a ministerial role after she narrowly lost the leadership vote, added she also wants to see the duelling of the A9 between Perth and Inverness. The deadly A9 has been a long-standing SNP promise, but with the Greens' opposition to more fuel-burning cars on roads, there are serious fears over its completion date. In actual fact, by duelling the A9, you actually will save fuel. You'll have cars trundling along at a set rate. They're not hard accelerating, braking, trying to overtake. They're not risking lives. They can just sit there, cruise control, boom, go. much kinder to the environment. She added, as someone who's negotiated several budgets with the Greens, we can always find common cause with other parties, and the Butte House Agreement allows legislation to be developed in a better way, she says. Well, the best way, I think, would be to throw the Greens out of office. Ultimately, as Democrats, we have to ensure we're delivering for people, and that means checking in with the public to know what they want and what they care about. Well, they want the NHS to work. They care about their children's schools. The SNP are doing nothing about these things because, again, concentrating on independence. They've got to accept that independence is something for the future. It's not going to happen now. Put it to one side, get on with the day job, sort out the problems that the SNP have caused. In response to Ms Forbes' comments, Wellbeing Economy Secretary Neil Gray said 95% of SNP members agreed the Butte House Agreement was the right thing to do. Then, 2 years ago, before they seen what's happened since. He said it has given us some parliamentary stability, and it means we can get on with the programme for government. You haven't got a single thing through. Not one piece of major legislation has managed to go through. Every single thing has failed because the Greens are morons. Well, the SNP are morons, but the Greens are like particularly even worse morons, if it's possible to be. And that's why everything is failing. So his claim 95%. Yeah, 95% then. And if you're that confident, Neil, let's have the vote and see if it's 95% now. And the reason you don't want the vote is you know, as well as everyone else, that it isn't. And I shall come up. Whilst I think the SNP running Scotland is a terrible thing, I think that if, as it seems likely, they're still going to be the SNP for the next sort of 2.5, 3 years, it is better for the SNP to run Scotland. Firstly, without the Greens, they've got to be got rid of, and secondly, to actually have someone in charge who's got the faintest clue of what to do. And although, yes, she is a screaming independent nutcase, Kate Forbes is at least intelligent. You cannot say that she's not. One only has to look at her history, qualifications. She's actually one of those that actually had a job before going into politics. And so, I think for the best thing for Scotland right now, in long term, get rid of the SNP. Don't care who else is running it, but not the SNP, long term. But in the short to medium term, get rid of the Greens with immediate effect, and then put Kate Forbes in charge. Her with, say, Fergus Ewing, sorry. Don't want any Anguses. You want no Anguses. No Anguses allowed. But her and Fergus Ewing basically taking over the party and running it as caretakers, effectively. They'll be caretaking Scotland until the next election, when I think it will undoubtedly be a Labour government. And I think with the next general election, probably 15 months away or so, probably October next year, you'll have a Labour government at Westminster, and I think that'll bleed through, and there'll be a Labour government in Scotland. Now, whether it's a majority Labour government or a minority Labour government in Scotland, hard to say. Possibly a minority, or probably a minority Labour government. But with that and the Labour power base in the UK, there are a few minor differences, a few differences in policy here and there, but generally together. And I think that one will complement the other, and at least you'll have some kind of comprehensive government. But of course, at that point, the SNP will only ever be blaming Labour, and it won't be the Conservatives. It won't be 16 years of Conservative problem or anything like that. It'll be Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party. But of course, nobody's ever going to take them seriously again. So I think that's basically where I'd pitch it. But anyway, that's just a speculation on my part. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please do hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, they'll soon be gone, and we can rejoice, if even for just one day. Bye.